Question for you. Have you ever found yourself shrinking in a relationship? Saying yes when you mean no, or staying silent just to keep the peace, like not to rock the boat, even when it's painful, even when there's a cost? You're not alone. I've been there. So many people have been there, and especially women. And so today we are going to talk about how sometimes we give our power away, especially when it comes to relationships, especially when it comes to love. And whether it's codependency, whether it's people pleasing, or just staying in relationships, these patterns leave us disconnected, feeling empty, and separate from ourselves in some way. So, in today's episode, we're pulling back the curtain on what it really means to reclaim your power in relationships. And we're asking some big questions. How do we know when we're giving up our agency? What does codependency actually look like? And how do we start setting healthy boundaries that protect our hearts, protect our peace, and have no guilt? Can you imagine that? Like actually being able to live into that vision. So, whether you're experienced with betrayal, maybe you've struggled with saying no, or simply want to feel stronger or more aligned in your relationships, this episode is an invitation for you to begin again, to do things differently, to stay true to yourself, and to have the courage to open and stay grounded and invite love in all the juicy ways. So we are about to dive in, and I just want to let you know that this is a special episode. So something amazing happened. I read a book, and you might go, "What? You read a book?" I read a novel. I read a novel. I usually don't read stories. And when my friend Megan Walrod told me that she just released her book and it was about women's reclaiming of their life and their love and their self, I was like, okay, I'll read it. And I'm like, am I going to even finish it? I very rarely finish novels. I read a lot of information. Well, I read it cover to cover. I friggin' loved It's Always Been Me. And so before I tell you who she is and what she's about, let me just bring her to the stage and say, Megan, I am so thrilled to have you here. Here.
Junie, thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here with you today.
I am thrilled because not only do I love you and I want everyone to know about this book, there's so much in this book that is so true to what we struggle with, what we need to learn, what we need to hear. I know it's based on maybe some of your stories, so I can't wait to get into this huge topic so we can help more women really stay true to themselves. So let me tell them a little bit about you real quickly. Megan is a writer, a woman's empowerment coach, and founder of Live Your Yes. Over the past 16 years, she's supported thousands of women to break free from their good girl training and create fun, fulfilling lives unapologetically, owning their true selves. Her debut novel, which is the one I'm telling you about, It's Always Been Me, brings these themes to life in a powerful story of feminine awakening and the courageous journey from self-abandonment to self-trust. And Megan brings a playful yet powerful approach to personal transformation and has a thing for mermaids, cupcakes, and skinny dipping. Love, love, love that. And there's themes of that in the book. Okay, so let's just dive into this.
Okay.
Again, I'm just so blown away how this novel, it's making me think I should read some more novels, how novels can actually be so powerful and insightful around some of the struggles that people have and how things can be different. So I loved it, Megan. I
Mm,
loved your book. I'd like to actually just start with why'd you write it?
Great question. And I'm just so honored. I don't have children in this lifetime, so this was definitely like a baby. I've definitely been having my proud mama moments since it came out last month. And
Aw.
with regarding the question of why I wrote it, and also coupled with this, the power of stories to heal. I didn't set out to write a novel. It's more that this story sought me out first and foremost.
Mm,
When I started to write it over 10 years ago, I had just come out of a divorce, quickly followed by another relationship and a broken engagement. And so I was actually taking time to really look at, okay, I'm the common denominator here in those 2 relationships. What's going on with my relationship with me? So I was really
yeah.
starting to look within and take time for that. And one morning I woke up, had this dream image and the first line of a story. And I'm a writer and I've worked with my dreams for decades. I went right to my computer, started to write it down, and a story started to flow out of me. So, why I wrote it was originally there was medicine in the story for me. It was telling me Sabina's story that I needed to hear. And then as time went on and I saw this could really be a story that other women will really resonate with, I became more and more devoted to bringing it forth into the world for me, first and foremost, and then for other women, knowing that there was a healing that was occurring in the writing it and what I'm hearing from so many readers in that Sabina, the protagonist, and it's always been me, was helping me find my own truth and agency inside a relationship, starting first and foremost with myself. So I really wrote it as a love letter to myself and to other women, as an invitation to
Oh.
come home to ourselves.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I could have used this book years ago. It's
I've
it's
heard
just
that.
yeah, it's so affirming that there's a different path, that there's power inside of us, that we can do things differently, that we are magnificent beings, and that there are certain patterns that many women deal with. I mean, my gosh, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've given myself away in relationships. That's an old story. That's an old pattern for me. It's something I'm mindful of. My partner and I now, it's like, "Pff, it's not going to happen." And yet, could it? Of course it could, because it's a
Mhm.
slippery slope. I find these patterns go deeply. And so,
Really?
um, so it's just again, it's a story, but it really shows the power of reflection and time and transformation that's possible when we really see the patterns, when we see that there are some things where we abandon our truth, that we
Yes.
are not really feeling our bodies and going, wow, this is not congruent with how I want to live. And this book really is such a beautiful telling of what we can do differently, but it's also a painful journey that we all go through until we wake up. And even when we wake up, it can be a really challenging place because we then are almost at the beginning. So I'm curious when okay, you wrote this story and I hear it was a love story to yourself, that this was something coming out for you. And then you saw that there was power in this and wanted to share it with others, which is beautiful. I'm curious about that concept of giving ourselves away. That women have this challenge a lot of times, and a lot of women that come to me that want to work with me say, I love my life and I don't want to lose myself again. And
Mhm.
so we know that we don't want to lose ourselves again. We want to stay on the beam, and yet there's this theme of giving ourselves away. So what would you
Yeah,
say from your own experience and maybe even Sabina's journey? What are some of the signs that you would say show up of, uh-oh, I'm
mm,
doing it again, or uh-oh, red flag, I need to be mindful that I'm losing myself.
absolutely, and I love that question, and that's where it really starts, is being able to see these signs and recognize these ways for what they are. It's really at its core, we can call it codependency, or like you said in the intro, people pleasing. It's a abandoning ourselves in the making other people more important than us. So that's one of the signs. And Sabina does that. And for listeners, so excited for you to get to hear about Sabina's journey through Junie's in my conversation, but no worries, no spoiler alerts, but just at the
Yeah, no
heart,
spoiler alerts because we
at
want you to read this book. I mean, I'm telling you, I very rarely read novels. I couldn't stop. It was so good. It was so, I mean, it wasn't even just because of the women's empowerment stuff. It was just like, it was such a great story. Oh my God. Anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
that's
Keep going.
okay. I love it so much. And so at the heart of the story, Sabina is in her early 30s, and for the last 7 years, she's given away her dream of being an artist
Yeah.
so, to support her husband and being a rock star with his dream. And so that's one of the big signs. And even Sabina in the story has been wrestling with that. And every time she would start to lean into, well, I really want to do my painting again, her husband would say, but I really need you right now. Like, we're starting to take off. And so, one of the signs that we're giving ourselves away, that we're losing ourselves, is that we make other people's needs and dreams and desires and really their expectations of us more important than our own dreams, our own desires for ourselves and our lives. And sometimes it can be really common for women to be like, well, of course I'm going to support my partner with their dreams. And of course I'm going to support my children. They need me right now. They, from newborn to like, newlyweds, wherever they are, wherever you are
Yeah.
in your parenting journey, there can be that sense of like, yeah, my kids need me. I want to be there for them.
And
And
if I'm not, I'm a bad girl. If I'm
exactly,
not, I am not a good person or I'm being selfish. How can I be
exactly.
this way?
Exactly. So there's like, I'm being selfish, or so I feel ashamed if I start to make different choices, or I feel guilty. And
Guilty.
those and and we can get into, I'm going to give you an invitation for how you really sit with shame and guilt, which is different, which is a way of breaking free of that. Yet, if you look at those as the guardrails of our conditioning and society, guilt and shame are these markers that want us to stay in the small box of what I call that good girl training. And so, just to make it really clear, the signs that we are actually leaving ourselves and abandoning ourselves as we put others above ourselves. We don't feel like our dreams, our voice, ourselves matter.
Matter
We
as much as everybody else.
exactly,
Exactly. Put everybody else first. That's what we've been trained.
exactly. And we outsource our own sense of value and worth and authority. We find our value in how much we're needed or how much someone else says to us, like, good job on that thing you did for me, thank you. I
Yeah.
need you
Yeah.
so much. I couldn't do this without you.
Mm,
And so those are some of the signs that we're losing ourselves in relationship. And one of the ways too, and this may seem really like, I just want to like, if you feel resentful, chances are you're stepping over your own boundaries. You're saying
yep.
yes when you mean no, no when you mean yes. So resentment is a huge sign that you're ditching yourself. And there can also be the sense of feeling invisible, feeling like nobody gets you, nobody's meeting you, nobody's like, and you may even feel that way yourself. The sense of like, where am I? What do I desire? It can almost be the sense of total like invisibility, which really comes down to this self erasure. Because when we're not
Wow.
expressing,
Self erasure. Oh my
isn't that
God.
intense?
It's so sad that we do this to ourselves.
Totally, totally. It's like,
Wow.
and I've seen this in my own journey growing up as the middle child of 5 kids. I would always just be like, middle child syndrome, I'm happy to go with the flow, like whatever the group wants, I'm happy to go with. And to some degree, there was a truth in my ease of, it's okay, I'm happy to go with the flow. Yet also in that was, I wasn't taking time to get in touch with, what do I actually desire? What do I really want? And am I willing to disappoint another over disappointing myself by staying true to what matters to me? And so I've been on my own healing journey for decades. And as a women's empowerment coach, that's been a big part of my work with women. And in fiction, what a gift to get to write about this through Sabina's journey. Because when we're
Yeah.
reading fiction, writing fiction, we can see something on the page as a mirror that helps us see that in ourselves in ways that we might not have wanted to see.
Right.
Because
It's a little bit softer in some way, and it's not as
yes,
confronting. It's in a story
exactly,
framework, and yeah.
exactly.
Wow, there was a lot there.
I know.
My God,
So
I'm
those
just
are the
no, in
signs,
such a
and yes,
beautiful, wonderful way. I'm just kind of like dropping into how we
yeah,
abandon ourselves and how we're praised for that. How we
completely.
get the accolades for, isn't she a good wife? Isn't she a good mom? And we are, and we've been, and we've given, and that's wonderful. It's just there's another person here. There's another human being and another soul yearning to express themselves in their own way as well. And that's where it gets tricky.
You
Before we dive into the codependency, you know, you were talking about the selfishness and the guilty, which is such a huge thing. I mean, so many women are like, oh my gosh, but then I'll be selfish. And I'm always talking about how selfishness is actually a good thing if you know how to do it well. I'd like to know how you view the selfishness and the guilt when it comes to this topic that we're talking about today.
Yeah, thank you. I love this because I really feel like what I'm about to share with you is a way to view these in a really different light that can help you break free of them. So,
Nice. Yes,
like I said
please.
before, there's a sense of guilt or a sense of shame that can be our guardrails for society, and that good girl training I was talking about, the conditioning we get since we've been in the womb, and especially as girls and women raised up in this culture, in a patriarchal culture, these these experiences are designed to make us controllable. So if a woman is feeling guilty for putting herself first or feeling ashamed, she's going to retreat. She's going to become more controllable. She's going to, seek out the feedback and the validation from others instead of owning that inside of herself. So
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
next time you find yourself feeling ashamed or guilty, I invite you to slow the moment down, pause, and say to yourself, oh, this is a sign I'm going beyond my comfort zone.
Yes.
This is a sign that I'm choosing something different. I'm not comfortable with it. I might feel awkward about it. It's not a sign I'm doing anything bad or wrong. I'm doing something different that my good girl training has told me not to do. And
Yes.
when we can start to see that, it's like the bouncers at the edge of our comfort zone who are like, go back, retreat. It's not safe out here. You get to see guilt and shame as that way too of like, oh my God, good for me. I'm doing something different. Okay, what is the thing that I'm doing differently? Oh, I spoke up in that meeting, or oh, I spoke up with my partner and I said, actually, I'm not available for that, or actually, no. And now I
Yeah.
feel ashamed. I'm not the good boss or the good
How could I
employee
be
or the
like
good
that? And now
partner.
am I going to lose his
Exactly.
love? And I've rocked the
Ex-
boat. And ah.
exactly. And that's why I love that you said that too. Am I going to lose their love? It's like those are the moments for increased self awareness. Tap into what story is playing itself out right now in your mind that's
Mhm.
evoking that shame and the guilt, or the story you have as the shame and guilt gets evoked. And then bring so much love to yourself. So instead of making it matter more of, oh, what's he going to think of me? Or what's she going to think of me? Or are they going to stop loving me? It's like, how can you love yourself through this moment and
Yeah.
breathe through it and see how things can shift for you as you soften into that self love and come home to you and acknowledge whatever different thing you might have just done? Because
Exactly. I was literally
that's
going to say that.
huge.
Come home to you. And it is just like that. It's like we're in this comfort zone, and there are these, we're safe. The walls are around us. We know the territory, and then we start to stretch it. And that's what this is. It's like we're building new muscles, and you don't have to jump off the cliff. I always say this to people. It's like you don't have to just change everything right away. Baby steps. Start to notice just your body, just to take those breaths. I love that you're sharing the slowing down, because
Mhm.
we go so quickly, we react so quickly, and until we can really
Yes.
ask ourselves what's going on inside of us, why do I have those knots in my stomach? Why am I scared right now? What am I actually saying to myself? Why am I doing these things? Like, to just start to notice what's going on. That's like the
Yeah.
first step. Build that muscle, then to slowly ask for your needs to be met. I mean, obviously people work with you, people work with me, because we haven't been taught how to do this. We haven't been taught how to really go, hey, I matter too. And what I desire matters too, and my life matters too. We've been trained,
Yeah.
like you said, to play small and to be the good girl and put our energy on how is our hair and our makeup and when do we go to get our manicure. I'm always like I am so not that person. I don't want to sit in a chair for 2 hours and get my nails done. Like, are you kidding me? I have such bigger things to do in my life. But we live in a culture that has indoctrinated us to look a certain way, be a certain way, and act a certain way. And
Hmm.
when it comes to acting and being in relationship, what you're sharing, slow it down, sisters. Just slow it down. Come home to your heart and take a breath. There's so much wisdom. And that's the other piece of the book that I thought was brilliant. And the title, it's always been me, that that we know. We are wise women. It's inside of us.
Mm,
It's just been clouded by so much gook, so much
totally.
crap from our culture and all this
Totally.
stuff.
And want to know what else is in there? This feels like a needs to be said moment
Mm-hmm.
about when we slow down, there's so much wisdom in us. There's also so much emotion that we
Yeah.
often haven't taken the time to be with and to express. And so it's really important for you as you're listening to tune into this to know that Junie and I both know this, right? Like, and we're here to be the reminder to you of the gifts in all of that emotional turmoil. And there's pivotal moments in Sabina's journey in my book where she finds ways to process her own emotional turmoil
Yeah.
in ways that are really cathartic. And actually I'll share this a little bit with listeners. Yeah, I also just want to acknowledge, like, so be aware, right? There's going to be a lot of stuff in there that you've maybe been stuffing and repressing,
Yes.
being told that, like, you know, don't be angry. Good girls aren't angry. It's not feminine to be angry. There's the stereotypical, like, rageful woman, don't be her. Well, if you've ever been betrayed, if you've ever betrayed yourself, if you're even like living in this world at this time, there have been things that have pissed you off. And so,
Ouch,
what
ouch, ouch. I mean, let us
exactly?
please allow ourselves to feel. We are human beings. And yes, we could spiritualize as much as we want. And it's a yes and. Yes, let's remember we're divine. Yes, that we're having a human journey, but we're spirit and we are embodied. And these emotions are such great guides to what's going on. So, like you said,
Totally.
if you're angry, you are betraying yourself in some way. There's a boundary being crossed. If you're sad, that's probably telling you that there's some loss and, there's something all the emotions. Please, please, please be gentle with yourself and allow the flow of it all. Tell us about the catharsis. And I know where you're going.
Totally. So,
It's so cool.
so Sabina has this thing she calls the wall, that's do it yourself therapy, where she's process painting and just throwing like paint with roller brushes and like big cans of paint up on the wall. And it's her way of working through the turmoil, because one of the things, and so I'll leave it at that. When I do in-person book events, I often do a reading from one of those pivotal moments of her at the wall. And it was very, very cathartic to write, because one of the things that I wasn't in touch with when my husband came home and told me he wanted to explore something with another woman, it took me a really long time to get in touch with my anger. I went first to this collapse, to grief, to desperation, to trying to understand why, to trying to convince him to change his mind. And so, writing this story, writing Sabina's journey, Sabina knows anger. She's in touch with her anger and she finds ways to express it. It was cathartic for me. And I've had readers tell me how cathartic it has been for them too, to have words and descriptions put to things that they've struggled with themselves. And so I want to acknowledge that emotional turmoil of, if any of you have ever experienced that betrayal, there can be, I remember just feeling like talking with my bestie and my therapist back, this was over, like 20 years ago when my husband came home and said that to me, of being like, I hate him and I want him.
Oh,
I'm
oh
like
my God.
sad that this is ending, and like I'm frustrated, and like how can I be feeling all of these things? How can I feel like I hate him and I love him at the same time? And my therapist was like, and my bestie, who is a therapist, was like, emotional pluralism. It's feeling many things at once, and it can be confusing and overwhelming. All the more reason to have support, all the more reason to, we don't try to figure it out, right? Like figuring out isn't going to take us anywhere. Feeling them, expressing them, moving them through our body
Mm.
taps us into that potency and that clarity of knowing, okay, here I am, right? Like, here I am in all of this. Like, here I am. And that's that coming home to herself. That's that, oh my gosh, here I am. How can I matter or value myself if I can't feel me? Here I
Oh,
am.
yeah. It's such, I'm almost speechless because it's just like, and that's unusual. Because this is just hitting home in such a deep way. Because I know this is just the biggest thing that women struggle with. It is the biggest thing of being seen and truly honoring ourselves and pushing against what we've been told and how scary it can be. And then, as you said, to have your husband come home and drop a bomb in the dynamics, and you being in this, I want him, but I hate him. And it's like, what do we do with that? Especially when we don't
Mm,
have the tools, the skills, the support.
totally.
And what I love is that you're sharing some of the golden nuggets here, which is slowing down, listening, and getting support, because we're not
Oh
meant
my
to do
gosh,
this alone.
yes.
I didn't get to this place. I have the most amazing man. He's probably, hearing me laugh right now. The sound travels with my laughter, nothing else, just so you know. But he'll be hearing me laugh. But it's like I have the most amazing man in my life, but it didn't happen right away. I
Totally.
needed to slow down. I needed to realize that I did betray myself over and over and over, and it got more painful because I kept thinking, next time it's going to be different. Next, I know so much more now. Next time it's going to be different. And it really wasn't until I said, okay, I am the common denominator. I am attracting a certain type of person. I keep saying yes to really, really bad behavior. What is going on inside of me? Okay. Loving, loving, loving our
Same.
conversation. I friggin' love you.
I
I
love you
do.
too. And I love
I
how we're both so passionate and just like,
We've lived it. My God. I mean,
yeah.
I don't usually talk about this, and I'm not going to talk about it right now because this is about you and your story. I will just say that, halfway, not even halfway through, a good, almost halfway through of my marriage, my 20-year marriage, we opened it up to other people and talk about clunky and challenging. And I got he over spiritualized it. And I was like, oh, I have to work on my stuff because I'm too emotional, or I'm feeling insecure. And bottom line is I wasn't safe, and I was abandoning what I wanted, and it was really painful. And that's oversimplifying it. With that said, I brought myself to that experience with not really holding my boundaries and not saying no when things were just not what I wanted. And the anger and the sadness and the fact that I would eat so much food and hit 200 pounds and be
Mm,
miserable. I mean, it was a hard time. And I needed to do what we're talking about today. I needed the support. I needed the place to go, to learn, to drop in, and to heal. Because codependency was a big thing for me. So let's dive into that. What's your definition, or what are the signs of codependency that you'd like to share with this listener?
so, well, the codependency, I feel like, is often misunderstood in the sense of like, oh, someone's being a doormat, or they're just being too nice or too sweet, or that kind of thing. And we've, at its core, what it's about is, and I just want to talk about it as a woman. I know you have listeners of all kinds,
Yeah.
and primarily women have this tendency to outsource everything, right? Like we've been talking about. And so we've been talking about some of the signs of like making other people their needs, dreams, desires matter more, their voice, not speaking up when something is working for you, that kind of thing. What feels important to add on to this conversation, though, is to recognize how codependency, here's my point of view on it, at its core is feeling that we can't survive on our own. So we leave ourselves to be what other people expect or want or need us to be. And then hear other people talk about come home to yourself. And there's kind of like, I don't even know what that means. Who is
Yeah.
that? She
Yeah.
got self
Yeah.
erased back when I was in the womb or when I was 10 or 8 or 15 or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And, and so if you look at for a moment, codependency is thinking that you can't survive on your own. And so you leave yourself to attach yourself to someone else, making their emotional responses more important than yours, feeling like you can possibly try to control their response or reaction. This can often happen in homes where there's an addiction, alcoholism, drugs, where there's trauma of any kind, big T, little t, and there's this complete split with ourselves. So I want to go into talking about, so how do we heal that split? Again, we've been sharing more, but would that be okay if
Absolutely.
we okay.
Absolutely. And I just want to just add to that, which
Yes.
was one of the biggest things that I discovered was my terror. Not just I'm a little scared of losing him, but my terror of being alone after having so much loss in my life, specifically with my dad at a very young age, and how I wanted to do anything I could to maintain that relationship. And that included making sure I didn't trigger him, making sure I was the
Totally.
good girl, making sure that I never rocked the boat. And of
Yeah,
course, it didn't work out so well until I realized.
exactly.
Yeah, so please share
Exactly.
share some steps and how people can heal this.
Yeah. Yeah. And so at its core, if you've been living and I was like, this is the thing that I discovered in my own divorce that came ultimately was a wake-up call to help me see where I'd been living that story. I couldn't survive on my own. And so my journey of healing and the work that I do with women is around, okay, I need to build some massive self-trust with myself. I need to turn around. If I've been like outward facing for the majority of my life, I need to start looking inward and getting in touch with who is this woman? Who am I? How do I build trust? Well, it starts by cultivating this relationship here. And one of the ways that I've done that over decades in both building a relationship with myself and listening and tuning into what am I feeling? What do I really want? What is my intuition guiding me? Is one of the ways, one of my practices has been journaling. And not just journaling, oh, I went for a walk today and I talked with Junie today and it was really inspiring. No, these are like thoughts, feelings, emotions, core things, dreams that I woke up with, learning how to work with my dreams on the page and journaling. It really helped me over time know me and tap into my other guides. I have guides that are on this journey with me and tap into that deep wisdom in addition
Mm,
to my own intuition. So there's like this balancing of for me for decades of like the journaling and the relationship with self and self-awareness and all of that cultivates, and then the therapy and the coaching which has helped me bring to the table. So there's this thing that I've been doing that I can't quite sort out, or there's these things that are happening and I know I have some blind spots here. Help me see them.
mhm,
Help me untangle from this that requires that additional support to kind of unwind. And in all of that, whatever that kind of support looks like, whatever
mhm,
that those kind of practices of journaling and that kind of like in beneath all of that, what it really requires is this deep devotion to ourselves and having a life that and this is women listeners, I'm just going to invite you to be really honest with yourself because this is where our fuel and our power lives in our desire to actually have freedom in this lifetime. And
Mm,
freedom not just as a concept. We're about to lean into the 4th of July weekend here in America as we're recording this. And so it's up and big, but it's more than a concept. It's more about, what does freedom mean to you? It's like that Janis
mm,
Joplin song of, freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. What is
mm,
freedom a word for you? And if you weren't
mm.
losing yourself and you were gaining yourself and gifting yourself to you, how do you want to receive you? What kind of life are you here to experience this lifetime? And can you become so devoted to that that you're willing to be in the discomfort of growth and the
Yeah.
discomfort of seeing yourself more clearly? And the cool thing is, all of that gets to be done with love and self compassion and real talk. It doesn't need to have the judgment and like the razor edge
That's
of
what people
like,
usually do, like the whip. It's like, I've got to work harder. I've got to be better. I've got to look at this. I've
no,
got to grow. It's like,
yeah,
I
no,
think Tony Robbins says something about like, if a flower is growing, you don't yell at it, grow faster, grow faster. It's going
exactly.
to grow. And how does it grow? With sunshine and water. And it's
Yeah,
going to, like, can we be loving and gentle while we learn how to walk? While we learn
totally.
how to really take care of our hearts. And even just that self exploration you're sharing, it's like we do that with other people. Oh, what do you do? What are you interested in? What makes you happy? It's like, have we truly taken the time? Most people haven't. We
Totally.
haven't been taught to go, who am I? Like, what really floats my soul? What brings me the most joy? And your
Yeah.
tools of journaling, it's always so amazing to me. I'm not a big journaler, but every friggin' time I do it, it's like, whoa, look at something else coming up. Or if I'm meditating, whoa, something else coming up. When we create that sacred time for ourselves, it's just uncanny what shows up. I think these are amazing, amazing tools that you're sharing here in the name of freedom, in the name of
Mhm.
expression, in the name of honoring who we are. Um, so we're almost at time, and I'm just curious, is there anything else you wanted to share with our listeners today that you think we haven't explored yet?
Absolutely. There's actually a couple things. One, I just want to make it really clear that I love men, and none of this conversation has been intending to paint a picture of like men are bad and wrong. Like Sabina in my novel, her choosing to support her husband with his dream over her own dream, that was her choice. And we're playing out our roles, right, in these relationships, of the roles we've learned of who to be, what to expect. So I just want to say that, like, there's not a, oh, the men are bad and wrong, and so therefore, don't be with any of them. I
Yeah.
wanted to speak to that and be clear with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
And
because
I
this we're part of this. It's not about them. It's like, what are
I
we
love it.
doing that's contributing to this experience? And it's
Right.
not to say that some guys don't have some issues, but
Right, exactly,
but how are
exactly,
we part
exactly.
of this challenge? And
Yes.
it's not about saying that it's all them.
Exactly. Thank you for saying that too, because there are those who are not the
Yeah, let's
healthiest.
not go there.
Exactly, exactly. And I also just wanted to speak to that this can be a really big change for a woman. So if you're listening to this and you resonate with this, this is for you. So sometimes when we start to make choices for ourselves, it can feel like we are doing it against someone else, right? Like, well, I'm saying
Mm,
yes to me, so therefore it means I'm saying no to you, and that feels against you. And oh my gosh, we've been trained to avoid conflict at all costs, to perceive choosing for us as something that is a conflict
yeah,
because it's different from what we've done before, or because someone else might perceive it as against them. And so I just want, this kind of takes us back to like our own coming home to ourselves, that you get to have you, and choosing you does not mean you're choosing against anyone else.
I love that.
You're just
Oh,
finally not choosing against you. You're
yes,
finally
yes.
standing for and advocating for yourself And that doesn't make you bad or wrong, and that doesn't make you against anyone else. So if your
And
mind is trying to
everybody
tell you that,
wins. And
see
everybody
that.
wins because if we're not being truthful, then they, to ourselves, and if we're abandoning ourselves, they're not getting our fullness, they're not getting our richness, they're not getting our truth. And, my partner and I talk about how do we make this as a win-win? Because yes, there's that concept of compromise, but what if we can both win at this and we both can thrive at this? How might that look? But that takes two
Mhm.
versus let me just do what the other person wants. And it
Totally.
doesn't mean somebody else has to, get the short end of the stick. It just may not
Totally.
be a yes now.
Yes.
Maybe there's another conversation to be had. Yeah. So guys are great. Not all of them, but guys are great. And how are we showing up? All right. There is something really cool that you are offering to the listeners and watchers called Beyond the Book Club. What is that? Beyond the Book Club. What is that?
So I wanted to find a way to invite women who have been reading It's Always Been Me into a book club conversation with me, where we will dive into both the themes of the story, like a book club, yet we're also going to go a bit beyond the book and start to talk about how those themes are alive in our own lives so that this can be a catalyst, a jumping off place for having our own insights, our own ahas, our own discoveries about our journey as women, coming home to ourselves, reclaiming our power, and gaining some clarity on what do I really desire now? And
Mm.
what would that look like to advocate for myself having that and choosing that? So it's going to be
Ah,
fun and
it sounds like
online
fun. Oh
and
my God, it
yeah.
sounds amazing. I will make sure I put the link in the notes below. Um, I just encourage everybody to get this book. I mean, no matter what stage of life you're in, even if you're way out of this concepts, the concepts that we're talking about, because this book not only is just a great book, it really does remind you uh, reminds us of staying staying true to our hearts and really creating the life that we deserve and all the juicy things that we've been talking about. Megan, this has been just so wonderful. I'm so thankful for your time and your book.
Oh, Junie, thank you so much for having me. I've so enjoyed this conversation, and I love knowing that my novel was one of the first things you've read in such a long time and that you finished it. That's like high praise
I
coming
can't tell
from
you how
you
many
from,
times I've
yeah,
started a novel. I'm like, yeah, never mind, because I love information. I love spiritual stuff. I love personal growth stuff, and I love TV. So I'm just like, yeah, but this was special. So thank you so
I'm
much.
touched.
That's our
Yeah.
episode for today. If you got some value out of this, please think of a woman in your life that might be interested in hearing about this topic, that might need some support around really owning her truth and loving her life. Let people know about the book. Grab the book. And if you haven't liked and subscribed, please do. Until we meet again, mwah. One more thing before you go. Have you taken my Discover Your Love Avatar quiz? It's a 2-minute quiz that can help you not only know your strengths, your superpower because you have one, also identify some of your blind spots, some of the things that might be having you in your fear, having you behaving in ways that aren't in alignment with your highest self, the way you want to be when it comes to dating and relationships. And it'll also help you discover why maybe the stars haven't lined up for you yet. Bottom line is, you take this 2-minute quiz, you get a full report in your email with details on how to move forward in next level love, whether you want a partner or not. So you can go to midlifeloveoutloud.com/love quiz. The link is in the show notes as well. And if you haven't liked and subscribed to the station, I'm going to encourage you to do that too, so you don't miss any episodes. And I hope you got a ton out of today's. See you next week. Mwah.